This video is about carbon and molecules. Carbon is the backbone of life. If you remove the water from cells, which is 70 to 95% of the cell, the remainder is mostly carbon-based compounds. Carbon's ability to form large, complex, diverse molecules such as proteins, nucleic acids, such as DNA, carbohydrates, lipids, and more. It's all due to carbon's ability to bind. Carbon atoms form molecules by bonding to 4 other atoms, which is otherwise known as tetravalence. The shape of carbon bonded to 4 other atoms is tetrahedral. The simplest molecule that can be formed is methane. Methane is the simplest hydrocarbon with a structural formula of carbon in the center and 4 surrounding hydrogens. As you can see in the space filling model, it forms a tetrahedron. You can also see it in the ball and stick model. Then we have ethane. Ethane is just 2 carbons with 6 hydrogens. And then ethene is 2 carbons double bonded with the remaining 2 hydrogens on each carbon. The valences of carbon's most frequent partners, the rules to building organic molecules. If you want to build an organic molecule, hydrogen has a valence of 1, oxygen has a valence of 2, nitrogen has a valence of 3, and carbon has a valence of 4. Variations in carbon chains, length and shape. So, for example, you can have ethane or propane. Ethane is 2 carbons, as you can see here. Propane is 3 carbons. You can have butene. You can have 1 butene where you have a double bond in between the first and second carbons. You can have 2 butene where you have double bond between the second and third carbons. You can have butane where you have 4 carbons in a chain. You can have methylpropane, also called isobutane, where you have a T shape because one of the carbons is bonded to another carbon in the center. You can have ring forms where you have cyclohexane or benzene. Hydrocarbons consist of carbon and hydrogen only. Fats and other organic molecules have many hydrocarbon components. These release a large amount of energy during reactions. All the energy is stored between the carbon and hydrogen bonds. There are functional groups. These common functional groups are the ones that we will talk about in this course. Components most commonly involved in chemical reactions. The number and arrangement of functional groups give each molecule its unique properties. You can think of functional groups as the parts that go on the Mr. Potato Head. So Mr. Potato Head is just the carbon backbone, which is just hydrocarbons. It doesn't have any personality. It doesn't get personality until you add things like an eyes, ears, nose to its face. And those eyes, ears, and nose are things like hydroxyl groups or carbonyl groups. We'll go through each of the groups and its properties in this video. So the first group is carbonyl. A carbonyl group is a carbon atom joined to an oxygen atom by a double bond. The name for it is ketones if it's within the skeleton, or aldehydes if it's at the end of a skeleton. This is the simplest functional group. Some examples of them: acetone has a carbonyl group. As you can see, it's a ketone. And propanol is an aldehyde because it has a carbonyl group at the end of the chain. Some functional properties, they may be structural isomers with different properties depending where the carbonyl group is found, and carbonyls are found in sugars. Next one we talk about is the next functional group is a carboxyl group, a carbon that has both a double bonded oxygen atom and an OH group, or hydroxyl group. The name for these are carboxylic acids. Some examples, an example would be acetic acid. As you can see, acetic acid is found in 2 different forms. It's found as COOH or COO with the hydrogen ion dissociated. So it's found in cells in the ionized form, and the second picture shows. Okay. Next functional group is amino. Amino functional group is a nitrogen atom bonded to two hydrogen atoms bonded to a carbon skeleton. The name for these are amines. An example would be glycine, which is an amino acid. It acts as a base because it can pick up a hydrogen ion from solution. So it can pick up a hydrogen ion, removing it from the solution, making it a base. Sulfhydryl. Sulfhydryl structure is a sulfur atom bonded to a hydrogen. The name here for these are thiols. For example, cysteine is an amino acid which has a sulfhydryl group. Two sulfhydryl groups can react, forming a covalent bond or cross-linking, which stabilizes protein structure. Phosphate. A phosphate group is a phosphorus atom bonded to 4 oxygen atoms. 1 oxygen atom is bonded to the skeleton, and 2 of the oxygen are negative. The name for these are organic phosphates. An example is glycerol phosphate. Functional properties: it contributes to the negative charge and has the potential to react with water, releasing energy. These molecules we'll talk about more when we talk about in cellular respiration. Methyl group. A methyl group is a carbon bonded to 3 hydrogen atoms. It may be attached to a carbon or to a different atom. Methylated compounds. For example, methylcytidine. The addition of a methyl group to DNA affects the expression of genes. So a methyl group is just the addition of another carbon.